your curtain. Please allow me to help.
Help? From you? Spare me your white savior complex. I don't need anything from someone like you.
It has proven to be Disney's worst investment ever in the history of Disney investments. I mean, they've gone through various scandals with this girl.
Uniquely unlikable, but then it is actually a terrible film as well. So it's the double whammy.
This is Rachel Zegler, who Disney decided would be brilliant in casting because, as Rachel Zegler says, her millions of fans will line up no matter what she does to see her.
If I'm Bob Iger, you know what we're doing? Emergency meeting. We're putting Snow White on hold for 2 years, and guess what? Smart. Pay her a couple $1,000,000, go away. We're gonna bring another person to play this role.
Invincible has always been known for its edgy commentary, but no one expected it to dive into Disney controversy territory until it did. In episode 4 of season 3, a quick but pointed line stood out. A character in a classroom scoffs. Yeah, like that princess who rewrote her whole story because she didn't want a man saving her.
I'm not some damsel in distress waiting for you to ride in on your high horse. Go away, stalker. You're weird. Weird.
Even the dwarves quit. The line dropped casually during a scene about media reboots, but viewers immediately recognized the target. It wasn't just a jab at fairy tale tropes. It was a surgical strike aimed at the recent Snow White remake and its lead actress Rachel Zegler, who has made headlines for publicly criticizing the original film's message and vowing to update the narrative for modern audiences.
Literally no offense to anything. They're very proud to cast a Latino actress as Snow White. It makes no sense to me. You're progressive in one way, but you're still making that backward story of 7 dwarves living in a cave. What the are you doing, man?
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Online forums lit up, with Reddit and Twitter users compiling clips of Zegler's interviews alongside the scene, confirming what everyone suspected. This wasn't accidental. Fans praised Invincible for daring to say what many think, especially amid backlash over Hollywood's trend of politically charged reboots. While some defended Zegler's intentions in reimagining Snow White, others felt Invincible delivered the wake-up call the entertainment industry needed. A bold, satirical pushback against what some see as forced revisionism masked as progress. The fact that this moment came from an animated superhero show only made the commentary hit harder, and more people began watching just to see what other lines the show might cross next.
Can you tell us a little bit about your version of Snow White?
Yeah, I mean, Snow White is the girl you remember, but she's definitely made for the modern age, and there's such an emphasis on what it really means to be the fairest of them all.
This is just so typical of the left. The progressives always finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive. You'd think the most progressive thing would be get people jobs, and dwarves want to work.
The Variety report being like, of course, what would you do when you have this narcissistic nightmare trying to ruin a film?
As soon as the clip from Invincible began circulating online, it didn't take long for Rachel Zegler to catch wind of it, and her response was anything but subtle. Although she didn't address it publicly at first, sources close to the actress claim she was fuming behind the scenes. Insiders allege she initially posted a cryptic message to her Instagram close friends list, complaining about misogynistic animation trying to stay relevant by dragging women who speak out. The post, which was swiftly deleted, didn't mention Invincible by name, but the timing was too perfect, and fans instantly made the connection. Screenshots leaked to Twitter within hours, and just like that, the drama had a new chapter. What made her response so polarizing was how quickly it spiraled. Instead of letting fans interpret the joke and move on, Zegler's reaction gave the moment even more power. Critics argued that she was proving the point made by Invincible, that she couldn't take criticism and saw herself as untouchable. Meanwhile, her supporters jumped to defend her, accusing the show of punching down at a young woman who's already been through relentless online hate. But whether people stood with her or against her, one thing became clear. Rachel Zegler had just given the internet a new meme, and a new reason to keep talking. Within minutes of the Invincible scene airing, Twitter, now X, became ground zero for the storm. Users immediately clipped the now iconic classroom line and began pairing it with actual footage of Rachel Zegler from her Snow White press interviews. One of the most viral mashups had the Invincible character's line cut directly into Zegler, saying, "This is not a love story anymore," followed by the Invincible cast rolling their eyes. It was savage. Hashtags like Snowfight, Zegler Zone, and hashtag Even the Dwarves Quit started trending. The memes were relentless, some showing the dwarves walking off set with signs that read, "Not my princess," others editing the Invincible clip to include Disney executives sweating in the background. Some users even posted fake dialogue from Mark Grayson saying, "We saved the multiverse, but we couldn't save Snow White." The internet was feasting. What made the moment explosive wasn't just the memeability, it was the cultural tension it tapped into. People weren't just laughing at a joke, they were rallying around the growing exhaustion with Hollywood's obsession with reboots, especially ones that feel like lectures instead of stories. And Zegler, fairly or not, had become the poster child for that frustration. While some fans tried to defend her, the flood of sarcasm was unstoppable. And now, Invincible had unintentionally added fuel to the very culture war its satire was mocking. Officially, the Invincible team said nothing. No press release, no interviews, no social media statement. But in the age of the internet, silence doesn't mean invisibility. Within hours, fans noticed that one of the show's staff writers, whose Twitter bio subtly read, "Professional Shade Thrower," had liked several tweets praising the Snow White burn. One tweet he engaged with read, "Invincible just saved us from another woke remake without lifting a finger." Another said, "That scene deserves an Emmy for dragging Disney with one sentence." The likes didn't go unnoticed. Screenshots were posted, debated, and turned into Reddit threads like, "Invincible writer confirms Zegler diss." Of course, nothing was ever officially confirmed, and the writer later unliked the tweets, but the damage, or depending on your perspective, the brilliance, was already done. The Invincible team's lack of denial, combined with these subtle nods, gave the impression that the show knew exactly what it was doing. And that intentional ambiguity only made fans more excited. They weren't just watching Invincible anymore. They were now watching for Easter eggs, for potential digs, for the next cultural gut punch. Suddenly, a superhero show had become a platform for social commentary in ways no one expected, and the writers, wittingly or not, were seen as the new provocateurs of Hollywood satire. In the days following the controversy, rumors began swirling that Disney executives were not pleased. According to an anonymous source who claimed to have connections within the Disney PR department, there were internal conversations about Invincible and how to respond to the clear attack on the Snow White brand. Supposedly, an informal inquiry was made to Amazon, asking whether the line in the episode was targeting Zegler and whether further inflammatory commentary was planned. While no public statements were made and no legal actions followed, the rumor mill exploded with speculation. Was Disney really so rattled by a cartoon? Was Zegler pressuring them behind the scenes to take action? Commentators on YouTube and TikTok jumped at the opportunity to dissect these theories, often portraying Disney as a corporation on the edge, desperate to protect its shaky investment in a remake that was already drowning in bad press. Some creators even mocked Disney's potential overreach, joking that the magic mirror is now a surveillance device. The idea that Disney might be so thin-skinned over one line of animated dialogue only reinforced what many critics already believed. The studio had become hypersensitive to mockery. And instead of diffusing the situation, these behind-the-scenes whispers just added a layer of corporate paranoia to a scandal that was already spinning out of control. It didn't take long before the situation escalated into a full-blown fandom war. On one side, you had Rachel Zegler's loyal supporters, many of whom argued that the Invincible joke was sexist, unnecessary, and part of a larger pattern of media attacking women who dare to challenge traditional roles. They rallied around the idea that Rachel was being bullied for wanting to modernize a story that, in her words, needed change. On the other side, Invincible fans hit back with the argument that satire should be allowed to punch in all directions, and that Zegler wasn't being targeted for being a woman, but for being out of touch. Threads on Reddit, TikTok, and Twitter became battlegrounds. People dug up old interviews, rewatched the Snow White trailer, and dissected Rachel's press tour quotes frame by frame. Even unrelated fandoms chimed in, comparing this to previous Hollywood meltdowns and weighing in on the role of actors in shaping public narratives. What started as a quick joke in an animated episode had evolved into something deeper, a reflection of how fractured media culture has become. Fans weren't just arguing about a show, they were debating identity, storytelling, and what accountability should look like in the era of reboots and influencer actors. If Twitter was the match that ignited the controversy, then TikTok was the flamethrower. As the Invincible clip continued to go viral, TikTok creators wasted no time turning it into a full-blown meme trend. Some users recreated the classroom scene from Invincible, with cosplayers dressed as Rachel Zegler's Snow White, complete with exaggerated makeup, dramatic voiceovers, and cringeworthy dialogue. One TikTok that gained over 3 million views featured a skit titled Snow White's Reboot Pitch Meeting, where a parody version of Zegler bursts into a studio declaring, "This isn't a love story, it's a multiverse of trauma." Another trending audio used the Invincible line about the dwarves quitting, paired with a sped-up version of Zegler's infamous, "We're not doing that anymore" quote. The mockery was everywhere. Lip syncs, edits, cosplay skits, fake trailer remakes, and even side-by-side reactions comparing old Disney Snow White to the Zegler version, all scored with sarcastic captions like character development or character demolition. Some videos even featured fictional dwarves quitting in protest, throwing their pickaxes in the air yelling, "We were minors, not mouthpieces." The sheer creativity of the TikTok community transformed a single moment of satire into an entire genre of parody. While some creators used the trend as a platform to discuss deeper topics like authenticity in modern media, most were simply having fun at Zegler's expense. And as the sound bites and skits grew more viral, it became clear Rachel wasn't just a trending topic. She had become a meme. And in today's digital world, being a meme is often more impactful than any press tour interview. In the days following the controversy, rumors began swirling that Disney executives were not pleased. According to an anonymous source who claimed to have connections within the Disney PR department, there were internal conversations about Invincible and how to respond to the clear attack on the Snow White brand. Supposedly, an informal inquiry was made to Amazon, asking whether the line in the episode was targeting Zegler and whether further inflammatory commentary was planned. While no public statements were made and no legal actions followed, the rumor mill exploded with speculation. Was Disney really so rattled by a cartoon? Was Zegler pressuring them behind the scenes to take action? Commentators on YouTube and TikTok jumped at the opportunity to dissect these theories, often portraying Disney as a corporation on the edge, desperate to protect its shaky investment in a remake that was already drowning in bad press. Some creators even mocked Disney's potential overreach, joking that the magic mirror is now a surveillance device. The idea that Disney might be so thin-skinned over one line of animated dialogue only reinforced what many critics already believed. The studio had become hypersensitive to mockery. And instead of diffusing the situation, these behind-the-scenes whispers just added a layer of corporate paranoia to a scandal that was already spinning out of control. If TikTok created the wave, YouTube rode it straight into monetized content territory. Commentary channels jumped on the drama with full force. Videos titled things like Rachel Zegler melts down over Invincible roast, and why Invincible's one-liner destroyed Disney's Snow White flooded the platform. Creators ranging from pop culture analysts to full-blown drama commentators dissected the clip frame by frame. Many channels replayed Zegler's past interviews, especially her most viral quotes like, "I don't need a prince to save me," and compared them directly to the Invincible jab. It was like watching a trial in the court of Gen Z, with creators acting as both prosecutors and jury. One creator with over 1.5 million subscribers posted a 25-minute breakdown titled Rachel Zegler versus the Internet, What Really Happened?, which racked up nearly 1 million views in 48 hours. The video included timelines, social media analytics, and even AI-generated mock dialogues between Invincible characters and Snow White. Another popular video was simply titled, "This is Why People Don't Like Her," which blended clips of Zegler's interviews with sarcastic commentary. The commentary explosion only intensified the reach of the controversy. It moved the drama out of fan spaces and into the broader YouTube algorithm, introducing thousands of new viewers to the feud, even those who had never watched Invincible or cared about the Snow White remake. In effect, Zegler's reputation was now being shaped not just by her own words, but by the avalanche of reaction content monetizing her every move. As the dust begins to settle, a bigger question looms over the entire spectacle. Has Rachel Zegler crossed into dangerous territory for her career? Hollywood is no stranger to controversy, but the problem for Zegler isn't just the backlash. It's the perception that she can't handle satire, criticism, or even a meme without spiraling. For studios, that's a red flag. Casting directors and PR teams pay close attention to how actors respond under pressure, and Zegler's digital trail now includes viral drama, deleted posts, subtweet wars, and press interviews that sparked ridicule rather than admiration. Some insiders are beginning to question whether she's becoming a liability, and that's before considering the Snow White remake's already shaky footing. From fan skepticism to media fatigue around remakes in general. When an animated superhero show can dent your public image with a single joke, that's not just embarrassing, it's a warning sign. Even fans who once defended her are starting to ask, why not just laugh it off? Why not turn the roast into a moment of self-awareness and regain control of the narrative? Instead, Rachel's refusal to engage with humor and her tendency to react emotionally has only deepened the divide. In an industry where public perception is everything, Invincible might have done more than make a joke. It may have shown the world exactly how thin-skinned Hollywood's newest princess really is.